Okay, let's talk about Def Leppard. This is a band that sold over 100 million records, which is incredible. But their most powerful story, it isn't about the platinum albums or the sold-out stadiums. It's about the moments. The moments that should have silenced them for good. We're going to get into how they took absolute tragedy and forged it into a revolutionary sound. You hear that quote from frontman Joe Elliott, and yeah, it sounds like pure rock and roll swagger, but it's so much more than that. It's really the band's mission statement. It captures the two things that make Def Leppard who they are. First, this insane, unbreakable will to survive, and second, a sound so meticulously crafted it was practically destined to take over the world. So, how in the world does a bunch of kids from a gritty English steel town become one of the biggest bands on the planet? Well, to get that, you gotta look past the big hair, the spandex, all the classic 80s MTV stuff. You have to see them as sonic architects who didn't just survive the impossible, they weaponized it, turning it into a sound that completely changed the game for rock music. Their whole story is this constant push and pull between creation and, well, catastrophe. On one side, you've got this obsessive drive to build the perfect song, the perfect sound in the studio. And on the other, you have this incredible resilience that got them through tragedies that would have ended literally any other band. So let's start at the beginning. Right, forget the rock and roll glamour of London or Liverpool for a second. Def Leppard's story kicks off in Sheffield, an industrial city, all steel factories and smokestacks. And that tough working-class background, it didn't just give them a killer work ethic. It lit a fire under them to create a sound that was the total opposite of their surroundings. Polished, huge, and ready for a global stage. So before they were Def Leppard, they went by the name Atomic Mass. And as you can probably tell, things were a little chaotic. I mean, look at this. It was a revolving door of members. This just shows a band that hadn't quite figured itself out yet. They were just trying to find the right chemistry, and it took a minute to get that formula just right. And then everything clicks into place in late '77. Joe Elliott comes in, he brings a new name, a new vision. But the real spark? That happened when guitarist Steve Clark joined in early '78. All of a sudden, they had it. The perfect mix of heavy rock power with these insanely catchy pop hulks. This was it. This was the birth of the Def Leppard sound. But here's the crazy part. Their own country just didn't get it. I mean, at the legendary Reading Festival, they get booed off stage, pelted with bottles of, well, you get the picture. The British press just trashed them, saying they were selling out to America. So the band basically said, fine, if England doesn't want us, we'll go where the fans do. And that one decision, it made them superstars. Now, if Def Leppard built the car, producer Mutt Lange was the guy who dropped a rocket engine in it. He wasn't just some guy behind a mixing board. He was a sonic mad scientist. And he was about to help them create a sound that was bigger, cleaner, and more perfect than anything rock had ever heard. Lange basically became the sixth member of the band, and his impact was just massive. He pushed Joe Elliott's voice to its absolute limit and had this one rule. Every single sound on the record, from the main guitar riff to the tiniest drum fill, had to be a hook. Think of a song like Photograph. There's not a single second of that song that isn't catchy. That's the Mutt Lange effect. And the result of all that hard work, Pyromania. This album was such a monster, so unbelievably huge, that the only thing that kept it from hitting #1 on the charts was Michael Jackson's Thriller. Think about that for a second. This wasn't just another hit record. This album wrote the blueprint for 80s rock. So they're on top of the world, biggest rock band on the planet. And then the unthinkable happens, an event that should have been the end of the story. But instead, it became the defining moment of their entire career and the ultimate test of that same innovative spirit they'd perfected in the studio. The news was just devastating. Drummer Rick Allen loses his arm in a car crash. For any other band, that's it. Story's over. But Def Leppard's response was instant and simple. He's our drummer. That was it. And that incredible, unwavering loyalty, it set the stage for one of the greatest comebacks in music history. Okay, so how does a one-armed man play the drums in a world-famous rock band? The answer wasn't just grit. It was pure innovation. Rick worked with engineers to design a totally custom electronic drum kit. All the parts he used to play with his left arm, they were moved to pedals for his left foot, triggering electronic samples. He didn't just relearn how to play. He invented a whole new way to do it. And when Rick Allen finally walked back on that stage for the first time, the roar from the crowd was so deafening it actually brought him to tears. This wasn't just a concert, it was a massive celebration of the human spirit. And his new, totally unique drumming style would become the literal heartbeat of their next album, the record that would make them the undisputed biggest band in the world. All right, so with Rick back behind this incredible new kit and Mutt Lange back in the producer's chair, Def Leppard set their sights on a goal that was just audacious. They wanted to create the hard rock version of Michael Jackson's Thriller, an album where every single song could be a hit single. It was just pure, insane ambition. Making the album Hysteria was an exercise in absolute perfectionism. They used new tech to get a guitar sound that was crystal clear so they could layer dozens of tracks without it turning to mush. The drums were this amazing blend of Rick's live playing and cutting-edge electronic samples. The final product was this sound that felt both human and machine, a perfect, polished wall of rock. You know that massive choir-like sound you hear on a song like Pour Some Sugar on Me? Yeah, that's not a choir. That's the band, singing the same part over and over and over again. On some of those choruses, they layered more than 100 individual vocal tracks to get that signature sound. 100? I mean, talk about dedication. So the big question, did they pull it off? Did they actually make the Thriller of hard rock? Oh, you bet they did. Hysteria spun off an unbelievable 7 hit singles. 7! Including their only US #1 Love Bites, and of course, a little song you might have heard once or twice called Pour Some Sugar on Me. They'd finally done it. They'd reached the absolute top of the mountain. And then, unbelievably, tragedy struck again. Guitarist Steve Clark, the man they called the Riff Master, passed away in 1991. It was another devastating blow. But once again, the band refused to quit. They finished their next album, Adrenalize, as a 4-piece, as a tribute to him, and it went straight to #1. So when you look back, what is Def Leppard's real legacy? Well, it's really a story told in 2 parts. The first is about that incredible resilience, that absolute refusal to be beaten by tragedy. And the second is about the sound itself, a sound that didn't just define the 80s, but, believe it or not, continues to influence artists to this day. And make no mistake, they are not done yet. Through the 2000s, they've kept touring the world, putting out great new music. They even did a crossover hit with country star Tim McGraw, and in 2019, they were finally, rightfully, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was a long overdue validation of just how much they mattered. Their story is still being written. So what's their lasting musical footprint? Well, it's that blueprint they created. That fusion of hard rock muscle and pop melody became the formula for a whole generation of bands. And that wall of sound production they perfected? Go listen to the massive layered vocals on a Taylor Swift album. That's the Def Leppard DNA, right there. And let's just talk numbers for a second. Over 110 million albums sold worldwide. And get this, they have 2 separate studio albums that have sold over 10 million copies each in the US alone. That's diamond status. It's an incredibly rare club to be in, putting them right up there with legends like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd. They're not just a successful rock band, they're a global phenomenon. So in the end, it leaves you with a question, right? What's actually more powerful, the sound that you create or the silence you refuse to accept? For Def Leppard, the answer is it's both. Their legacy isn't just about the music. It's about the unbreakable human spirit that made the music possible. It's proof that sometimes the greatest art isn't born from perfection, but from the refusal to be defeated by our deepest scars.